Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. My name is Trey.
I am Rungren.
And we got some monsters to talk about.
Yeah, surprise.
What was where? My glasses were lost. But if you want to hear that full story, you can't, because this pre-show is not going to exist in 2 weeks and in like a day on YouTube. But if you want to hear cool pre-show stories, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that cool, but
No.
if you want to hear them, come check us out live every week. So, yeah, we're in the S's.
Right.
We've been covering the Mordenkaisen's Bestiary. No, I understand, Faith. You're good. I have to also force myself not to point that way now
Yeah.
because we've moved things. I like this new setup more personally.
Okay.
I don't want to explain this joke that I was about to make because I'm not going to make the joke, but I was about to attempt to have future me edit something in there
Yeah.
before I remembered that we're live.
Oh, yeah.
And he can't do that.
No.
But it would have been great to be high-fiving myself right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's been job well done.
yeah. Anyway, we're in Mordenkainen's Bestiary. Remember how I was just talking about how my jokes have gotten better? We're in Mordenkainen's Bestiary, and we've made it to the S's,
Yes.
which has been many weeks to get here.
Yeah.
But I think it's been worth it because the S's have some of my favorite monsters in this book. But first, we have to get through the Sorrow Sworn, which is what I teased to you last week.
Yes, the Sorrow Sworn.
So these are pervasive melancholy creatures. Pervasive melancholy emotions give rise to these creatures, which carry them forward, right?
Okay.
That are part of the Shadowfell's bleak nature. They basically are the living incarnations of that nature.
Gotcha.
The Sorrow Sworn. There's a couple different variations. First off being the Angry Sorrow Sworn.
Okay.
Which is exactly what it sounds like. It's an angry Sorrow Sworn. It's like a two-headed guy with hooked horror hands.
Okay.
And he's a medium monstrosity. CR 13. Born from anger, of course, as you would expect, which has some really cool effect names here. Then AC 18, natural armor. Hit points 255 with a speed of 30. It's resistant, of course, to bludgeoning, slashing, piercing while in dim light or in darkness, which is nice.
Okay.
So it's not resistant otherwise.
Okay.
It
Makes
has,
the light spell useful.
yeah, gives you another reason to actually use that drift globe or that
Yeah.
cantrip that you have. Light, it's crazy to me that light is just a cantrip.
Yeah.
Light is such a useful spell that people always forget about. And it's just a cantrip.
I don't know if that, and necessarily forget about it. It's just, they don't use it.
Yeah. Well, then most PCs have dark vision,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
which is a different problem. But say, what's the point of having dark vision if 90% of the playable races have it?
Yeah. Just to point out the ones that don't.
It should be special. So this guy has two heads, like I said, which means he has advantage on saving throws against being blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, stunned, or knocked unconscious.
All right. It's pretty normal.
He has rising anger. If another
Don't we all?
creature, right? If another creature deals damage to the Sorrow Sworn,
Oh, yeah?
retake. The Sorrow Sworn's attack rolls have advantage until the end of its next turn, and the first time it hits with a hook attack on its next turn, the attack's target takes an extra 3d12 psychic damage.
Okay.
On its turn, the Sorrow Sworn has disadvantage on attack rolls if no other creature has dealt damage to it since the end of its last turn.
So it's a lot of psychic damage in this book.
It's a lot of psychic damage in this book. It kind of feels like this thing's raging, and it only gets that as long as it's still raging.
Yeah.
Which is a nice little fun thing, I think.
Yeah.
It has multi-attack, 2 swings with its hooks. The hook is +8 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 2d12 plus 3 piercing. So 2d12 plus 3 piercing, and the first time it attacks, if it's been attacked, 3d12 psychic is pretty good. That's 5d12 damage.
Yeah.
So,
Right? Yeah.
very solid.
It's the angry one for sure. Raging away.
Its secret is it's always angry. The next one is the Hungry Sorrow Sworn,
Okay.
which looks exactly like the other one, except nothing at all like the other one. So
Fair
it's
enough.
still a monstrosity. It still has, it's not green. They're tannish, I guess. It still has that same pallid color skin. But it has a huge gaping mouth and webbed claws
Okay.
on its hands, or for its hands. Look,
So-
I'm having trouble with words tonight, okay?
It lives in Innsmouth.
Yes, it is an Innsmouth folk. CR11.
Okay.
This is born. I don't really feel like I need to get into how these are born, because we talked about how the Shadowfell burst creatures based on emotions. The other one was birthed by anger. This one, of course, is birthed by extreme hunger.
Yes.
And
like
greed.
duck feet.
Yeah, like duck feet. The CR11, 17 AC, 225 HP, 30-foot speed. Same way, damage resistant when in dim light or darkness to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. It has life hunger. If a creature within 60 feet of the Sorrowsworn regains hit points, the Sorrowsworn gains 2 benefits until the end of its next turn. It has advantage on attack rolls, and its bite deals an extra 4d10 necrotic on a hit.
That's pretty rough.
That's a cool, thematic thing of,
Yeah.
hey, it is always hungers, and it just watched something gain virtue.
Yeah.
Now it wants it. It has multi-attack for 1 bite, 1 claw. The bite is plus 8 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target. 1d8 plus 4. Wow. Retake. 1d8 plus 4 piercing, plus 3d8 necrotic.
Okay.
So nice little bite there.
Yeah.
And the claw is plus 8 to hit, reach 10 foot, single target. 4d6 plus 4 slashing. If the target's medium or smaller, it's grappled. Escape DC 16. And is restrained until the grapple ends. While it's grappling, of course, it can't make another claw attack.
Okay. Yeah. It's still pretty good. And, a couple of these can do a lot of damage to a group.
Oh, yeah. That necrotic damage goes around quick.
Yeah.
Words are not my friend tonight. That is very true. Next up is the lonely one, which is also probably the creepiest one of them all.
I resemble that remark.
This one, of course, is born from the Sorrow of Isolation. This one is still that same pallid color. It has a longer neck and a smaller head, so it kind of hunches the head down. From its eyes, which are pitch black, come forth black ichor.
Okay.
Ichor that is just draining out as if it was tears. Its feet are spikes.
Is that why it's crying?
Probably.
Black goo.
And so are its arms.
All right.
But one of its arms is really long and thin, like a whip almost. And it's called a harpoon arm, and we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
So it is a CR9, 16 AC, 112 hit points, 30-foot speed. Killer stilettos, yeah. It's resistant the exact same way as the others. It has Psychic Leech at the start of each of the Sorrowsworn's turns. Each creature within 5 feet of it must succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw or take 3d6 psychic damage.
Ooh.
Pretty strong.
Yeah, don't get close to it.
And then it thrives on company. Sorrowsworn has advantage on attack rolls while it's within 30 feet of at least 2 other creatures. It otherwise has disadvantage on attack rolls.
That's interesting.
It's a really cool way to balance this thing out for the amount of damage we're going to get to in just a second.
Okay.
Multi-attack, it can make 1 Harpoon Arm Attack, and it uses Sorrowful Embrace.
Right.
Harpoon Arm is plus 7 to heat. Reach 60. I said heat. I really can't speak tonight. Plus 7 to hit. Reach 60 foot.
Okay.
Single target. 48 plus 3 piercing. And if the target's grappled with escape DC of 15. If it's large or smaller, not medium, large or smaller.
Yeah.
The Sorrowsworn has 2 harpoon arms and can grapple up to 2 creatures at once. Each creature, this is the Sorrowful Embrace, grappled by the Sorrowsworn must make a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw, taking 4d8 psychic damage on a failed save, half as much on a successful one. In either case, the Sorrowsworn pulls each of those creatures up to 30 feet straight towards it. So just...
Yeah.
And in the process of that, you're taking 8d8 plus 3 damage. All psychic. Or I'm sorry, half of it psychic, half of it piercing.
Okay.
It just wants a hug.
Yeah,
man.
it just wants a hug.
Yeah,
A
and
painful embrace.
because you're going to start your turn within 5 feet of it, you're also going to take the 3d6 psychic damage. Don't forget. So
Yeah. That's a rough creature.
yeah, that thing will hurt. For CR9, that thing will hurt.
Yeah.
Next, we have the Lost Sorrowsworn. This is
Just help him home.
I don't know if I want to, though, looking at him.
Okay.
He's got 5 arms, all of which end in a claw,
Okay.
a spiked claw. I guess talon is more appropriate. Not
Okay,
claw,
yeah.
but it's the tip of the claw.
Yeah.
CR7, give him a quarter for a phone call.
Mhm.
CR7, AC 15, 78 hit points, 30 foot walking speed. Resistant, of course, to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing while in dim light or darkness. Multi-attack for 2 arm spike attacks. +6 to hit on the arm spike. Reach 10 foot. Single target. 2d10 +3 piercing. For CR7, that's pretty good damage.
Pretty good, yeah.
Then it has an embrace. +6 to hit. It recharges on a 4 to 6. Reach 5 foot. Single target. 4d10 +3 piercing. And the target's grappled.
Okay.
If
yeah.
it's a medium or smaller creature, until the grapple ends, the target's frightened, and it takes 68 psychic damage at the end of each of its turns. The Saurus can only grapple 1 creature at a time.
Okay.
Ow!
Yeah.
Also, if it has somebody grappled, as a reaction, it can use Tightening Embrace. If the Saurus takes damage, the creature grappled by Embrace takes 4d8 psychic damage.
Yeah. That's a rough. That's pretty rough. What was the CR on that again?
7.
Hmm.
Hey, if you're in the Shadowfell and you see one of these walking towards you, run.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll get lost trying to find you. Finally, we have the Wretched Sorrowsworn. These are little dog things on 2 feet.
Okay.
They have worm mouths, so they have like the rows of teeth inside. And I guess they're like little dinosaurs almost, but terrifying.
I think little dinosaurs would probably be terrifying.
That's true. And of course, these subsist on life force. They're wretches. They need to eat. They're small though.
Yeah.
CR 1/4.
Oh,
Have the same resistances, and they have 15 AC, 10 hit points, 40 foot walking speed.
Okay.
They have wretched pack tactics. Saurusworn has advantage on an attack roll against a creature if at least one of the Saurusworn's allies within 5 feet of the creature is incapacitated. The Saurusworn otherwise have disadvantage on attack rolls.
Okay.
Now these things are pretty strong for 1/4, and that's probably why they have that disadvantage built in. Because the bite melee attack that they do is a +3 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d10 +1 piercing.
Okay.
It's a lot of damage, and it attaches to the target. While attached, the Saurusworn can attack, and at the start of each of the Saurusworn's turns, the target takes 1d10 +1 necrotic damage.
Oh.
So you could have a barbarian that just gets covered in these things.
Yeah.
The attached Saurusworn moves with the target whenever the target moves, requiring none of the Saurusworn's movement to do so. The Saurusworn can detach itself by spending 5 feet of the movement on its turn. A creature, including the target, can use an action to detach the Saurusworn. But that's their action.
Yeah. You know, it seems like. Well, I think that's a deadly encounter with a group of first levels. There's 4 of these.
I think so too.
But I'm trying to think of who would have trouble getting that 10 damage.
Right.
To put it down. And I don't think any class really would.
Right. Even at that low level, I think a wizard will probably be able to kill him.
Yeah.
If they attach onto him.
Yeah. So that's going to become a very speedy encounter.
Yeah. But potentially frightening the first time it happens.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because I
don't
mean, it can
expect it
go
to stick
south
to you.
so quick.
Yeah. So next up, we have the spawn of Cuse.
Okay.
Cuse, of course, is the high priest of Orcus, who we talked about the O's. He plundered corpses from necropolises. Man, I can't talk tonight. To create the first spawn of Cuse. Even centuries after Cuse's death, his maligned disciples continue performing the horrific rites he perfected.
Yeah.
Now, from a distance and in poor light, you might just think they're a regular undead.
Sloppy.
My speech tonight. Thank you for that. But as you get closer, you start to see that they are not your regular undead. These are CR5. AC of 10. 76 hit points.
Okay. That's quite a bit.
30 foot walking speed. They're immune to poison, of course, and they can't be exhausted. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. They can't speak, but they know all the languages they knew in life, which is a nice touch. They have regeneration. They regain 10 hit points at the start of their turn if they have at least 1 hit point and aren't in sunlight or a body of running water.
That's cool.
If the spawn takes acid, fire, or radiant damage, this trait doesn't function until the start of the spawn's next turn. Hey, Will. The spawn is destroyed only if it starts its turn with 0 hit points and doesn't regenerate. Of course.
Oh, yeah.
It has worms. If the spawn of Kyus is targeted by an effect that cures disease or removes a curse, all the worms infesting it will wither away, and it loses its burrowing worm action, which we're going to get to in a little bit. Of course, also has unusual nature because it's undead.
Yeah.
No air, food, drink, all that fun stuff. Sleep. It can make 2 claw attacks with multi-attack and 1 use of burrowing worm. The claw is +6 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d6 plus 3 slashing, plus 2d6 necrotic.
Okay.
Pretty stout.
Yeah.
The burrowing worm is a worm launches from the spawn of Kyus at 1 humanoid the spawn can see within 10 feet of it. This worm latches onto the target's skin unless the target succeeds on a DC 11 dexterity saving throw. Not too high.
No.
But if you don't, man, oof. The worm is a tiny undead with AC 6, 1 hit point, a 2 in every ability score, and a speed of 1 foot. While on the target's skin, the worm can be killed by normal means or scraped off using an action. The spawn can use burrowing worms to launch a scraped off worm at a humanoid it can see within 10 feet of the worm. Otherwise, the worm burrows under the target's skin at the end of the target's next turn, dealing 1 piercing damage to it. I know this is a long, but we're getting somewhere really interesting with this. At the end of each of the turns thereafter, the target takes 2d6 necrotic damage per worm infesting it to a maximum of 10d6. And if it drops to 0 hit points, it dies and then rises 10 minutes later as a spawn of Kyus. If a worm-infested target is targeted by an effect that cures disease or removes a curse, all the worms infesting it wither away.
Okay, so there's ways to get out of it.
Yeah.
Ugh. Couple of bad rolls, you're in bad shape.
Yeah. Welcome to your new life as a spawn of Kyus.
Yeah.
Hope you're excited for it. Not really much more to say about that other than just that's kind of horrifying.
Yeah.
But you want to talk horrifying. I have been waiting for us to get to these monsters since we started this book.
Okay.
The Star Spawn have finally come to 5e.
Yeah.
We have a blurb from Mordenkainen. Stars don't spawn these creatures. Such beautiful light shouldn't be blamed for such balefulness. So, for anybody who doesn't know, Star Spawn have been a thing in older editions. They are effectively the Elder Evils, or 5e's or D&D's version of the old ones. They're not just analogous to Lovecraft. They're also analogous to The King in Yellow and things like that from Chambers and other works done at the time. But they definitely are in that Eldritch style of thing. These are evils from beyond the stars that are near incomprehensible, and their minions that you fight are what you get the stat blocks for. Now, the creatures that we know as Starspawn, of course, are the heralds, the servants, the minions.
Yeah.
Don't have stat blocks for the big guys, because if you made a stat block for them, then you could kill them, and that kind of undermines their whole process.
Yeah. It's still, if you see one, there needs to be some kind of sanity check.
I agree. Now, there is a whole thing here. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Welcome, Dark.
Glad you're here, though.
Hope you like the new set. There is a whole thing here on Elder Evil blessings that are given to the disciples of the Elder Evils for the Starspawn, like the cultist abilities, basically, so that you can run cultists as Starspawn cultists. The Cult of Atropos, the World Born Dead, gives you, and all these names are so good, gives you Gaze of Corruption, which recharges on a 6. The cultist targets one creature it can see within 30 feet of it. The target must succeed on a DC 15 con save or take 3d10 necrotic damage and be poisoned for a minute. The poisoned target can repeat the same throw at the end of each turns, ending the effect on a success.
The only thing that's not immune to poison, the players.
That's very true. Unless they play you on T.
Oh, right.
Cult of Borum of the Lake of Boiling Mud. Gives Borum's Embrace, which is daily, once per day. The cultist touches... Hey, Waverly. Glad you made it. The cultist touches one creature within 5 feet of it. The target must succeed on a DC 15 dexterity saving throw or be coated in sticky, steaming mud.
Yeah.
While it's coated in this way, the target's speed is halved. It can't use reactions, and it takes 3d6 fire damage at the start of each of its turns. The effect lasts for 1 minute until the cultist is incapacitated or dies, or until the target is immersed in water.
Okay.
Then we have the cult of Hask, the voice of Hargut. And again, I mentioned earlier that this is using reference not just from Lovecraft, but also from Chambers and many others at the time. So this is your King in Yellow kind of thing here. Hask's presence, which is once per day, the cultist transforms into a tiny slug-like being and teleports onto the shoulder of a humanoid that it can see within 30 feet of it. The target humanoid must succeed on a DC 15 charisma saving throw or be charmed by the cultist. While the target is charmed, the cultist has control of it on the target's next turn. At the end of that turn, the cultist teleports to an unoccupied space it can see within 30 feet of it and returns to its normal form. The cultist can't be targeted directly by any attack or other effect while it's in slug-like form, but it is subject to the areas of effect as normal. So, and again, there's a couple more of these just real quick, but these are your, hey, if you're going to run Starspawn, there's probably going to be cultists that worship them.
Yeah.
Because to the cultist, even these lowly minions are as gods. And then, of course, the ones that serve the actual Elder Evils. The Cult of Tarinzun is next. This is the Chained God. Tarinzun's Spark is recharging on a 6. As a bonus action, the cultist touches a simple or martial weapon or a natural weapon, if it has one. The next creature hit by the touched weapon must succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw. Wisdom's tough for a lot of classes to get. Or have disadvantage on all ability checks. The affected creature can repeat the saving throw then each minute, ending the effect on itself on a success.
Minute's a long time.
And then finally for the cultists, we have the cult of Tyranthraxis, the Flamed One, which is Radiant Flames once per day. Multi-hued flame surrounds the cultist for a minute until the cultist is incapacitated or dies, or until the cultist extinguishes in the flame. No action required. While inflamed, the cultist has telepathy with a range of 30 feet, and it can teleport as a bonus action up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space it can see. In addition, every creature that starts its turn within 5 feet of the cultist must make a DC 15 dex save, taking 3d10 radiant damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. So, some really cool stuff for the cultists when it comes to the Starspawn.
Yeah. Teleporting is a reaction. It's very good.
Yeah.
Even though, it's only 30 feet. Yeah. That's a reaction, though.
It's very solid. You have a Starspawn mini somewhere? That's awesome.
Yeah,
Starspawn,
3D
great.
printed.
It's a great way to get cool minis. I need to get my 3D printer going. The Starspawn Grew is the first one, and I don't know if you remember much about the different Starspawns, but the Grew, for anybody who doesn't know, is a lightly blue skinned. I really cannot speak tonight. A lightly blue skinned humanoid with a far too wide mouth and pointy ears with little spikes on its body in various places. Also nice. The gold frame, very cool. It is challenge rating a quarter. Not too high, right? AC 11, hit point 17, speed of 30. It's only immune to psychic. This is your lowly form Starspawn, right?
Right.
It has an aura of shrieks. Creatures within 20 feet of the Grew that aren't aberrations have disadvantage on saving throws, as well as on attack rolls against creatures other than a Starspawn Grew.
Okay.
So if you have it running with some cultists, you have a pretty good setup there.
Yeah.
And then the Confounding Bite is its action. Melee attack, +3 to hit. Reach 5 foot, single target, 2d4 +1 piercing. And the target must succeed on a DC 10 wisdom saving throw, or attack rolls against it have advantage until the start of the Grew's next turn.
Okay.
So not too bad.
No.
But its effects are weird, and it's kind of the first step into
Yeah.
Starspawn effects.
Yeah. It would be an interesting creature to run.
Is it really ad time, Nightbot? The gold frame's a pretty cool Astray variant. Next is the Starspawn Hulk. The Hulk is one of the largest of the Starspawn. Its skin is glycering and translucent.
That's gross.
It's purplish, and the eyes are pale and seemingly lidless, from a face distorted by too many teeth and too little nose.
That's nice.
Normally, they're accompanied by a Seer, which we'll get to in a little bit. Yeah, it's purple. We do have some ads.
Ads? All right. Thank you. Ads.
CR is only 10.
Okay.
Not too bad.
It's large.
Yeah, it's very large. AC 16.
Okay.
Pretty stout for... I mean, charge rating 10, 16 is not too high, but you'll see some other stuff with it. HP is 136 and speed's 30. It is resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. It can't be charmed or frightened. Ads are over now for you. Awesome. Glad to hear it. It has Psychic Mirror.
Thank you.
You had 2 ads. Well, thank you for watching both. If the Hulk takes psychic damage, each creature, welcome back, within 10 feet of the Hulk takes that damage instead. The Hulk takes none of the damage. In addition, the Hulk's thoughts and location can't be discerned by magic. So there's not a lot of psychic on the player side. But if you don't know and you have psychic, like if you play a soul knife or something, and you try to use it, it just goes out to your party instead. Yeah. Which is a really cool surprise. Your ads probably will be late if they haven't popped up yet. It has multi-attack for 2 slams. If both attacks hit the same target, I know you love these little effects like this. Yeah. The target also takes 2d8 psychic damage and must succeed on a DC 17 con save or be stunned until the target's next turn.
That's rough.
Till the end of the target's next turn.
Yeah, yeah.
The slam is a +9 to hit, reach 10 foot, single target, 2d8 +5 bludgeoning. Not too bad. But it also has Reaping Arms, which recharges on a 5 to 6. The Hulk makes a separate slam attack against each creature within 10 feet of it. Each creature that is hit must also succeed on a DC 17 dexterity saving throw or be knocked prone. Just bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, I can get the group down. And if you've got another creature there with it. Yep. Then, that's going to be...
Because it does normally run around with a Seer.
Yeah, I mean, that could get devastating quick.
Yep. Next up is the Starspawn Larval Mage.
Okay.
This is our Nyarlathotep. So a larva, and it's done up in a yellow robe too, which is just perfect. These are exactly what they sound like. It is a combination of a cultist and a worm-like aberrant. Or if you have a worm-like entity already, like a Cuse, or a spawn of Cuse, like we talked about earlier, that winds up coming into contact with the Starspawn, the Elder Evils will sometime forcibly take over that body to be able to use as a Larva Mage, which I think is really cool. Larva Mages are CR 16 AC, which is pretty low, 168 HP, which is pretty low.
Yeah, but what they've been giving out so far with the CRs, something's coming up.
30-foot movement speed. It's resistant to cold, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical, and immune to psychic. Can't be charmed, frightened, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, or restrained. It has an ability called Return to Worms. When the mage is reduced to 0 hit points, it breaks apart into a swarm of insects in the same space. Unless the swarm is destroyed, the mage reforms from it 24 hours later.
That's interesting.
And there's a good chance the party's not just going to go squash the bugs unless they were already really mad at him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, he's got multi-attack, and he can make 3 slam or Eldritch Bolt attacks. The slam is a +8 to hit, reach 10 foot, single target. Now, he's just medium, but he gets a reach of 10 foot because he's made of worms. It's 1d8 +3 bludgeoning, and the target must succeed on a DC 19 con save or be poisoned till the end of its next turn. Just to the end of its next turn.
That's weird.
But it's some extra poison.
Yeah.
Eldritch Bolt is a +8 to hit, range 60 foot, single target, 3d10 +3 force damage. Plague of Worms is an action that it can take, recharged on a 6. Each creature other than a Starspawn within 10 feet of the mage must succeed on a DC 19 dex save or take 5d8 necrotic damage and be blinded and restrained by masses of swarming worms. The affected creature takes 5d8 necrotic damage at the start of each of the mage's turn.
Golly.
The creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on success.
It's pretty ugly.
Oh, yeah. Then it has spellcasting. It uses Charisma as the mod, which is a +3, and its spell save DC 16. At will, it can cast Mage Hand, Message, and Minor Illusion, and once a day, Dominate Monster. Then it has a reaction called Feed on Weakness. When a creature within 20 feet of the mage fails a saving throw, the mage gains 10 temporary hit points.
Just like that.
Just like that. And it's making you make saves all the time. It also has legendary actions. It can spend 1 for a slam. It can spend 2 for an Eldritch Bolt. And it can spend 3 to feed. Each creature restrained by the mage's plague of worms takes 3d8 necrotic damage, and the mage gains 6 temporary hit points. I assume that's per creature. It doesn't say each, but I assume that's per creature.
Yeah. And that would be on top of the 5d8 necrotic you're already taking, right?
Right. So this thing may not have a lot of HP, may not have a high AC, but if you don't take it out quick, it will just keep healing on you.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to fight it on its terms.
Yeah. Next up is the Starspawn Mangler, and we have a little blurb from Mordenkainen. The cultists who blaspheme reality by calling out to elder evils often speak of a far realm from which these entities hail. In truth, there's no one place or space from which they come. There's the multiverse of things that are, and there's the multiverse of things that shouldn't be. Now, these things normally have 6 arms, but can have anywhere from 4 to 8.
Okay.
These are people, cultists or criminals or anything like that have lived on violence and then turned to the elder evils, will be corrupted and become manglers.
Okay.
They are long-bodied, like really long, with a really long face and 6 arms that end in claws, or 4 to 8 arms, depending. CR 5.
Okay.
AC 14, 71 hit points, 40-foot walk, 40-foot climb. Resistant to cold, immune to psychic, can't be charmed, frightened, or knocked prone. How would you knock it prone? You'd have to hold all of its arms and legs back, I guess.
Yeah.
It has Ambusher, which means it has advantage on initiative rolls.
Yeah.
Then it has multi-attack for 2 claws, +7 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d8 +4 slashing. If the attack roll has advantage, the target also takes 2d6 psychic.
Okay.
If it's knocked you prone, if it gets a surprise round, anything like that. Now, it has a dervish.
What?
Flurry of claws, flurry of blows, right?
Yeah.
Recharges on a 5 to 6. The Mangler makes 6 claw attacks. Either before or after these attacks, it can move up to its speed without provoking opportunity attacks, which is why we call it a dervish.
Yeah.
Because that's what Whirling Dervish is. You get to attack in a line.
Yeah.
Which is great. 6 claw attacks. Just bam, 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 bam. And it recharges on a 5 or a 6.
Yeah.
Then it also has a bonus action called Shadow Stealth. While in dim light or darkness, the Mangler takes the hide action. So this thing's whole point is to jump out, to hurt you, and then to hide again.
Yeah, it seems like it would you could use this almost like hiding through a whole fight with another one.
Yep.
And then, are we out of combat? No, because out of the shadows.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also forgot to mention it has tiny little centipede legs on its body. Sounds like a monk rogue mix, I suppose. A little bit of barbarian in there.
Starspawn monk, yes.
Yeah. Then finally for the Starspawn, we have the Starspawn Seer. And if you wondered why they held this one, it's because this is probably the coolest one. It's normally the leader of the cult is given this rank, and it's normally accompanied by a Hulk to guard it. They're irreparably changed by the influence of the Far Realm because they commune with the Elder Evils constantly. So their bodies become bulbous, their faces become almost like a mix between fish and like Piscine and Porcine.
Okay.
It's like a nice mix between those two. They have little tentacles coming out of their arms and their feet and all over their body, and their hands become webbed. Again, in like a really interesting mix of like Innsmouth with Nyarlathotep and Shub-Niggurath, and just a really interesting thing here.
Sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you.
And forgive me for nerding out a little bit here, Chad. But I happen to be a big fan of cosmic horror.
Thank you.
CR13, but man, does it have some cool stuff it can do. 17 AC, 153 hit points, 30-foot walk, speed. I don't know why I don't just say speed. Resistant to cold, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing if non-magical. Immune to psychic, can't be charmed, can't be frightened. Has out-of-phase movement.
Hey, Displacer Beast.
Yes. The Seer can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain, and its movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Each creature it moves through takes 1d10 psychic damage. No creature can take the damage more than once per turn. The Seer takes 1d10 force damage if it exits its turn, or if it ends its turn inside an object.
Okay.
That's right. I can say Elder God names without a problem, but English that's tough. Multi-attack, 2 Comet Staff or Psychic Orb attacks.
Oh, okay.
Comet Staff is plus 11 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d8 plus 6 bludgeoning. He just hits you with his staff, you know. Plus 48 psychic, and if the target is a creature, it must succeed on a DC 19 con save or be incapacitated until the end of its next turn.
Yeah.
And Psychic Orb, of course, is the ranged spell attack. Plus 11 to hit, range 120 feet, single target, 5d10 psychic damage. Just bam. Bam. It also has Collapse Distance, which recharges on a 6. The Seer warps space around one creature it can see within 30 feet of it. That creature must make a DC 19 Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the target, along with any equipment it's wearing or carrying, is teleported up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space the Seer can see. And then each creature within 10 feet of the target's original space takes 6d12 psychic damage.
Golly.
On a successful save, the target takes 3d12 psychic damage and isn't teleported.
I like that ability.
I do too. That's super cool. Welcome to fall. As a reaction, it can bend space. When the Seer would be hit by an attack roll, it teleports along with any equipment it's wearing or carrying, exchanging positions with another star spawn it can see within 60 feet of it. The other star spawn is hit by the attack instead.
I see why they have Hulks around them all the time now.
Yep. Is it from Gallifrey? No, but it can mess with the cosmos.
It can do some wibbly wobbly stuff.
Yeah.
With time. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But that's the star spawn. Really cool. Really awesome.
Nice array.
Yeah.
Too.
I think it's a good spread. It gives you a lot of different wiggle room to be able to run some cool stuff, especially with the addition of the cultists.
And challenging too. I think that was a very challenging set of monsters.
Yeah, for sure.
I like those.
So next up, because I want to try and get through these S's tonight, and I think for the most part we can probably just like hit these as we go.
Okay.
Because the star spawn, no offense to everything else, are by far the most interesting of them, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
But next are the Steeders, which are giant hunting spiders in the Underdark. Females are larger and stronger than males, and often devour the males after breeding, just like praying mantises. The female Steeder is a CR1, AC 14, hit points 30, 30-foot walk, 30-foot climb.
Okay.
I hate this thing already. Extraordinary Leap is its ability. Distance to the Steeder's long jump is tripled. Every foot of its walking speed that it spends on the jump allows it to move 3 feet.
Okay.
And then it has Spider Climb, of course. It can climb anything without needing to make an ability check. Because it's the Underdark. And we did Evil Puppies last week. The bite is plus 5 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target. 1d8 plus 3 piercing, plus 2d8 poison. Pretty solid. Okay. And then it has Sticky Leg. It's plus 5 to hit, reach 5 foot.
Sticky, not stinky.
Right.
It's not going to start dancing. Okay.
If only. One medium or smaller creature. The target is stuck to the Steeder's leg and is grappled. Escape DC 12. The Steeder can only have one creature grappled at a time, even though it has a bunch of legs. So, like, evil geckos. That would be fun. Now, the males are a little bit weaker by about a fourth as much strong as the females because they're challenge rating a quarter. Armor class 12, 13 hit points, 30 feet walking, 30-foot climbing. They still have Extraordinary Leap. They still have Spider Climb. They still have a Bite, with the only difference being it's a +4 to hit,
Okay.
and it's 1d8 +2 piercing, and 1d8 poison damage instead. And then Sticky Leg, sorry, you did this to me, is now a +4 to hit, reach 5 foot, small or tiny creature.
And I think we have evidence throughout the night that I did not do that to him.
That's very true. Gecko is effectively a better, cuter, less disgusting spider. Geckos are pretty cute.
Yeah.
The last thing on Steeders here is a blurb from Mordenkainen. It says, Steeders resemble spiders as much as wargs resemble wolves. The creature may appear similar, but Steeders are more than mere vermin. Which says that Mordenkainen thinks spiders are vermin.
Yes. Well, we shouldn't be trusting that guy.
That's right. Next up, we have a Steel Predator. Now,
Steel, like Steel?
Yes.
The metal.
Yes. Not as in like a thief that also predates.
Okay. Well, because look,
I understand.
if we have steel dragons, we don't have them in 5e, and they are the coolest dragons.
Yes. So Steel Predators are created by Modron and are normally located in Sigil. These are kind of like the previous Modron that we talked about. I can't remember the name of it now, but the large defender.
Yeah.
You put the contract in, and it became.
Yes.
They're kind of like that, except these are. Right. Decepticons for sure. Instead of being about contracts, these specifically are created by a individual Modron to hunt Modron, and then after that they just like went off. Sigil is the city of doors. It's a city that connects all the other planes and cities across the world. There's a door to go anywhere in the city of doors.
Yes, but it's remarkably easy to get lost in.
Oh yeah. Now specifically, Steel Predators will hunt basically anything, but they prefer to hunt creatures made of metal.
Yeah. Okay.
As you might figure. And if it is created to hunt something specifically, even if other things try to fight it, if that thing is there, it will only focus on its target.
Okay.
So if it can't get to its target, it will kill anything in the surrounding area to get there.
Right.
But
as soon as that thing's not in the way anymore,
right,
in uniform fashion, like go on.
And once it's killed its target, it just goes back to Sigil. It doesn't try to make any more trouble. It gets turned back into parts, and then eventually another one will be made.
Well, it looks like the Predator's dog.
Yeah, it looks like Predator's dog. It is a metallic dog with a kind of a longer jaw. Kind of looks like the Leviathan from Atlantis, the Lost Empire jaw, with spikes all the way down its back. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
It is a large construct, CR16, resistant to cold, lightning, necrotic, and thunder. It's immune to poison, psychic, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, non-magical. Can't be charmed, exhausted, frightened, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, or stunned. It has magic resistant, so it's advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. And it has unusual nature, like we talked about earlier.
Right.
Multi-attack, 1 bite, 2 claws, +12 to hit on the bite, reach 5 foot, single target, 2d10 +7 lightning. The claw is +12 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 2d8 +7 force. And it has spellcasting. It uses wisdom. +2 is the mod. It doesn't have an escape DC because it doesn't have a spell that requires one. But 3 times a day each, it can use Dimension Door on itself and Plane Shift on itself.
Oh, it can get away.
Yeah, it can get away.
It can get away. And what's the AC?
The AC is 20.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Yes.
It also has Stunning Roar, recharged on a 5 to 6. The Steel Predator emits a roar in a 60-foot cone. Each creature in the area must make a DC 19 con save. On a failed save, a creature takes 6d10 thunder damage,
Good.
drops everything it's holding, and is stunned for a minute. The stunned creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. And if it succeeds, it takes half damage instead and isn't stunned. And I forgot to say, I'm sorry, 20 AC, 207 hit points, 40-foot walking speed.
That's a pretty tough creature. Well, it should be, right?
Yeah.
It's made of metal, made of steel.
Yes.
So it should be really tough. It sounds pretty tough.
And you shouldn't have to fight it unless you've been tricked
Yeah.
and you're working for the bad guy.
Yeah.
Or somebody, finds fault in somebody else and sends it after that Modron or Construct or Warforged or anything like that.
Or if it somehow got its coding messed up.
It's gone rogue.
Yes.
Rogue. Next up is the Stone Cursed.
Okay.
These are made through foul alchemical rituals performed on a humanoid that's been turned to stone. It is literally a stone person that can move again, but it's now cursed.
Okay.
So it's a medium construct.
So it still counts as construct?
Yes.
Okay. They're going to say this might be different than Stone Golem, but on that aspect, it's not.
Right.
You can't do anything about it.
No, the people inside have long since died.
Okay.
And it is just the stone body for the most part now. A vague whisper of their memories lives on in the skull. At the end of a short rest, a character can make a DC 20 Arcana check to attempt to extract a memory from the skull after you've destroyed it. That is in response to a verbal question posed to the skull by the character. Once you destroy the body, not if you destroy the skull, you don't get it. Once this check is made, whether it's success or fails, the skull can't be used in this manner again. You only get one.
Oh.
So
good luck.
The Stone Cursed is a CR1 creature. 17 AC, very high for CR1.
Yeah.
Probably why it only has 19 hit points. Speed's 10 foot. It's vulnerable to bludgeoning, because of course it is.
Good. That needs to be in there.
It's immune to poison. It can't be charmed, exhausted, frightened, petrified, or poison. It has Cunning Opportunist. The Stone Cursed has advantage on the attack rolls of opportunity attacks. False Appearance. If it's motionless at the start of combat, it has advantage on its initiative roll. And if a creature hasn't observed the Stone Cursed move or act, that creature must succeed on a DC 18 int check to discern the stone creature is not just a statue.
Right.
It has unusual nature. And then for actions, it has a Petrifying Claws. Petrifying Claws, let me just repeat that. +5 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 2d8 plus 3 slashing. If the target is a creature, it must succeed on a DC 12, not too high, con save, or it begins to turn to stone and is restrained until the end of its next turn, when it must repeat the saving throw. The effect ends if the second save is successful. Otherwise, the target is petrified for 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. That's rough.
Everything
I don't...
is immune to poison. Everything.
Everything is... And I was thinking about this because y'all have mentioned it in chat. We've talked about it here. I'm starting to think poison as a damage type is just flavor.
Yeah. Poison is never good. Fire is good up until like 6th level.
Yeah.
Everything else is fine for the entire game. Everything else is useful.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense why this creature is immune to poison.
For sure. But some of them just like...
Yeah. But why do you... Why?
Man. Come on. Why is the Steeder immune to poison? Because it's a spider. There are other types of poison. Now we're going to continue with the stone for a little bit because we have a stone giant Dreamwalker.
Okay, this is redone then because
Yeah.
this was in the book quest
Yes.
that the one that has the picture of the giant underneath the water coming up.
Yeah, the
Storm King.
Storm... Oh, I can't remember the name at all.
It's like Storm King.
Storm King's Thunder or something like that?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Storm King Thunder. I don't remember, but yeah.
Yeah, so the Dreamwalker has its... I think in that version it had like an addition to a stat block.
Oh, okay.
And here it has a full stat block.
All right.
Which is a pretty cool stat block. It is, of course, a huge giant. CR 10, AC 18, 161 hit points, 40-foot walking speed. It is immune to Charmed and Frightened. You can technically poison this stone giant Dreamwalker. It has Dreamwalker's Charm. An enemy that starts its turn within 30 feet of the giant must make a DC 13 Charisma saving throw, provided the giant isn't incapacitated. On a failed save, the creature charmed by the giant. Creature charmed in this way can repeat the saving throws at the end of each of its turn, ending the effect on itself on success. Once it succeeds on the saving throw, the creature is immune to this giant's Dreamwalker's Charm for 24 hours. What a kind of book of things that poison is useless against.
Yeah.
I wish they'd named it that.
Yeah. Pretty close.
Look, man, sometimes you just want to see a giant, and when you see a giant, you're just like, I can't fight this thing.
Yeah.
Look at how cool this thing is.
Right.
However, if it chooses to fight you, good luck. It has 2 Great Club or Rock attacks. The Great Club is a +10 to hit, reach 15-foot, single target, 4d8 plus 6 bludgeoning.
Yeah.
And the Rock is a ranged attack, +10 to hit, range 62-40, single target, 3d10 plus 6 bludgeoning. If the target's a creature, it must succeed on a DC 17 strength save or be knocked prone.
Okay.
And then it has Petrifying Touch. Giant touches one medium or smaller creature within 10 feet of it that's charged by it. Target must succeed on a DC 17 con save. On a failed save, the target becomes petrified, and the giant can adhere the target to its stony body. Greater restoration spells and other magic that can undo petrification have no effect on a petrified creature adhered to the giant unless the giant is dead. In which case, the magic works normally, freeing the petrified creature as well as ending the petrified condition on it.
Man, oof. That's a couple right there close to the end there with petrification.
Yep.
Abilities.
Yep. Next up, we have the Stone Giant Quintessent. Have fun, Dark. The Quintessent is really interesting. If a storm giant approaching the end of their natural lifespan seeks an escape from death, they plumb the depth of their powerful connection to the elements and disperse themselves into nature, transforming into semi-conscious storms. A storm giant quintessent sheds their armor and weapons, but gains the power to form makeshift weapons out of thin air.
Okay.
So these are those that utilize the never-ending storm. CR 16, AC's only 12. They gave up all their armor.
Yeah.
230 hit points. 50-foot walk, 50-foot fly, hover, 50-foot swim. It is resistant to cold, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, bludgeoning, slashing, piercing from non-magical. It's immune to lightning and thunder.
Okay.
It's amphibious. You can breathe air and water. Has legendary resistance once a day. Multi-attack. 2 lightning sword attack. Sorry, cannot speak tonight. Or it uses wind javelin twice. Lightning Sword is a plus 14 to hit, reach 15 foot, single target, 96 plus 9 lightning damage. And Wind Javelin is the giant coalesces wind into a javelin-like form and hurls it at a creature it can see within 600 feet of it. The javelin deals 3d6 plus 9 force damage to its target, striking unerringly. The javelin disappears after it hits. That is a free hit. There's no roll to hit there. It will hit you with this.
This seems like a. Want to put this as a like a henchman of Empyrean.
Yeah,
because that's what they kind of feel like to me. It's like, hey, we bring the storm. Yep. Because when Empyrean is in a bad mood, it's going to be storming.
Right.
That's interesting. I like these separation in these different stone giants.
Yeah. Well, and this thing just wants to be left alone for the most part, right?
Right.
So if you're going to try and fight it, it will utilize the power of unending storms to kill you. It does have legendary actions. So it has 3 different options here. A gust. The giant targets a creature it can see within 60 feet of it. Creates a magical gust of wind around the target, who must succeed on a DC 18 strength save or be moved up to 20 feet in any horizontal direction the giant chooses.
Okay.
For 2 actions, a thunderbolt. The giant hurls a thunderbolt at a creature it can see within 600 feet of it. Target must make a DC 18 dex save or taking 4d10 thunder damage on a failed save, half as much on a success. And for 3, it can use one with the storm. The giant vanishes, dispersing itself into the storm surrounding its lair. The giant can end this effect at the start of any of its turns, becoming a giant once more and appearing in any location it chooses within its lair. While dispersed, the giant can't take any actions other than lair actions, and it can't be targeted by attack spells or other effects. The giant can't use this ability outside its lair, nor can it use this ability if another creature is using a control weather spell or similar magic to quench the storm.
Interesting.
Really cool idea there.
Yeah, and it's a nice little twist at the end.
Now, it does have some lair actions, as you would expect,
right?
Because they just got done talking about them. Deafening Boom creates a thunderclap centered on a point anywhere in the lair. Each creature within 20 feet of that point must succeed on a DC 18 con save or be deafened to the start of their next turn. A Fog creates a 20-foot radius sphere of fog or murky water, if it's within water, centered on a point anywhere in its lair. The sphere spreads around corners, and the area is heavily obscured. Fog lasts until the giant disperses the fog. No action required, and it can't be dispersed by wind. Or a Gale, a 60-foot long, 10-foot wide line of strong wind, or strong current within water, originating from a point anywhere in its lair. Each creature in that line must succeed on a DC 18 strength save, or be pushed 15 feet in the direction the wind is blowing. The gust disperses gas or vapor and extinguishes candles, torches, and similar unprotected flames in the area. Protected flames, like a hooded lantern, have a 50% chance of being extinguished.
Yeah. That's an interesting spell. That's kind of... That's one of the spells that really doesn't get used a whole lot.
That's right.
But it has some, especially the knock prone. It's got some unique, kind of like Tidal Wave.
Yeah,
Tidal Wave. Air version of Tidal Wave.
If only it could use Sleet Storm. No, it does have regional effects, of course. Rain, snow, blinding dust, sand is constant within a mile of the lair. Rivers overflow, streams fill, snow, dust is everywhere, all that fun stuff. Flash of lightning, peals of thunder are continual day and night within 5 miles of the lair. And high winds blow within a mile of the lair, making it impossible to light a fire unless the location where the fire is lit is protected from the wind.
So I like that. It already gives you a setup.
Yeah.
An environment to put the characters in.
I agree. We have 4 stat blocks left for the S's, and then we're done with S's.
Okay.
The next one is the Swarm of Rot Grubs. Because we're just, we're being nasty tonight. Rot grubs are finger-sized maggots that eat living and dead creatures. And of course, they will attack stuff. It has already been half an hour. It's crazy. We're gonna go a little bit over tonight, but that's okay. Challenge rating 1/2. 8 AC, but it's a swarm.
Okay, yeah.
Hit points 22. 5-foot movement. 5-foot climbing. Vulnerable to fire, as it should be.
Yeah.
Resistant to piercing and slashing. Can't be charmed, frightened, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, prone, knocked prone, or restrained. Can be poisoned. We'll start pointing that out every time. Because it's a swarm, it can occupy another creature's space, and vice versa, and it can move through any opening large enough for a tiny maggot. The swarm can't regain hit points or gain temporary hit points.
No swarm can. That's
right.
Yeah.
It has a bite attack, +0 to hit, reach 0 feet. It has to be in your square to hit you. 1 creature in the swarm space, 2d6 piercing, and the target must succeed on a DC 10 con save or be poisoned. At the end of each of the poison target's turn, the target takes 1d6 poison damage. Whenever the poison target takes fire damage, the target can repeat the saving throw, ending the effect on itself on a success.
Okay.
If the poison target ends its turn with 0 hit points, it dies.
Don't get those off you. Stand still. I'm going to blast you with a fireball.
Yep. Technically, you can have them run into a single rot grub.
Yeah.
But it works the same way as a swarm, except it's far less effective. And it's the exact same save if they manage to get bitten by it.
Okay.
Next up, we have the Swashbuckler, which is another class that has been given a stat block, which is very cool. It has flourishes, which I wish Swashbucklers actually had in 5th edition. I remember flourishes, and they were great.
Yeah.
You roll on a d8 to get your flourish. These are a little bit more RP flourishy.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one is the Swashbuckler will wink and flash a charming grin. Second one is to bow theatrically. The third one is to constantly flip their dagger. The fourth one is to punctuate sentences with a boisterous ha-ha!
Yeah.
The fifth one is to sing catchy sea shanties.
Mm.
The sixth one is to dexterously manipulate a silver coin through their fingers. The seventh one is to hurl colorful insults. And the eighth one is to add showy embellishments to rapier strokes. The stat block's nothing really to write home about, but it's nice to have in case you want to run some quick, hey, I need some swashbucklers, here we go.
Yeah.
I need some pirates, here we go.
Yeah.
CR3,
Okay.
AC 17, 66 hit points, 30 speed. They are not immune to poison. Suave defense, while they're wearing light or no armor and wielding no shield. Their AC includes their charisma modifier, which is why they're AC 17. Yeah. They have multi-attack for 1 dagger and 2 rapier attacks, which is pretty good for CR3. The dagger is melee or range, +6 to hit, reach 5 foot, or range 20-60. Single target, 1d4 +4 piercing. And the rapier is +6 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d8 +4 piercing. Do with a drunken sailor early in the morning. Way, hey. Can't do that. Go any further than that, we'll be in trouble. Copyright.
Wow.
Copyright.
Who has the copyright on that? That's from the 1800s.
It was in Assassin's Creed.
So
they had it officially recorded by a studio.
So we can't do that version of it. We can't play that version of it.
But I'd have to dispute it and say we weren't doing that version.
I got you.
Because they're dumb.
Early in the morning.
Yep, that's right. Bonus action is light-footed. Swashbuckler takes the dash or disengage action. So,
Yeah.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
No, a nice little stat block. I'm glad they started doing those.
Me too.
It's just a nice little thing to have. Hey, I can throw a session together real quick.
Yeah.
I can have 3, 4, 5 of these.
Yeah. We have 2 stat blocks to go tonight.
Okay.
Which are the Sword Wraiths.
Ooh.
When glory-obsessed warriors die in battle without honor, they might haunt the site as Sword Wraiths. So we have, of course, the commander and the warrior, and kind of in a surprising twist, they have given us the commander first and then the warrior, and I think I'd rather do it the other way around. So we're going to start with the warrior and get the commander. I think they did it alphabetically, but every other time they've built up to the boss.
Yeah.
So the warrior is a ghost, of course.
Right.
It is CR3, AC 16, 45 hit points, 30-foot movement speed. It is resistant to necrotic, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical, because it's a ghost. And it is, of course, immune to poison. It can't be exhausted, can't be frightened, can't be poisoned, can't be knocked unconscious. It has unusual nature. It has a battle axe, which is +6 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d8 +4 slashing, or 1d10 +4 slashing if it's used with 2 hands.
Okay. Yeah.
Has a longbow, +3 to hit, range 150, 600, single target, 1d8 +1 piercing.
Okay.
And as a bonus action, it can use Martial Fury. The warrior makes 1 battle axe or longbow attack, and attack rolls against it have advantage until the start of its next turn.
Okay.
So if it chooses to make a free attack, you have advantage against it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got a couple. It's basically a warrior.
Yeah.
There's really not that much special about it. Just got a little extra flavor on it.
Right.
To make it a ghost. It's kind of cool.
And the commander is, of course, a commander. He's led battles into...
Yeah.
CR 8, AC 18, 127 hit points, 30-foot speed. Still resistant to necrotic, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, non-magical. Still immune to poison, and still can't be exhausted, frightened, poisoned, or knocked unconscious. It has turning defense. The commander and any other sword race within 30 feet of it have advantage on saving throws against effects that turn undead.
Okay.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Has unusual nature, of course. Then it has multi-attack for 2 longsword or longbow attacks. Longswords +7 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d8 +4 slashing, or 1d10 +4 slashing if used with 2 hands. Longbow is +5 to hit, range 150, 600, single target, 1d8 +2 piercing. And then once a day, the commander can use Call to Honor. If the commander has taken damage during this combat, it gives itself advantage on attack rolls until the end of its next turn. And 1d4 +1 Sword Wraith warriors appear in unoccupied spaces within 30 feet of it. Okay. The warriors last until they drop to 0 hit points, and they take their turns immediately after the commander's turn on the same initiative count.
Okay.
Then as a bonus action, he can, of course, use Martial Fury as well, but it deals an additional 2d8 necrotic damage on a hit, and attack rolls against it have advantage till the start of its next turn.
These feel like good monsters.
Yeah, I like these a lot.
I don't know how, nothing outstanding on them. They're just good because they got good flavor in them.
Mm-hmm. I do have one question. The ghosts are using ghostly weapons. Does that mean when they died, their swords and axes also died?
Yeah, they're gone.
Okay.
Yes, you can't.
So
have
the ghost of the sword.
Yes.
What if I attempt to speak with dead, the ghost of the sword?
Well, you won't get much back. I don't know. It might be kind of sharp.
And if you've never been a DM, that's the kind of question your players will ask you.
Yeah.
But that's the S's. That's all the S's. We have paper boats. That's right. If you played Transistor. We have a reasonable number of T's, but not too many. Just one U to come. And then we have 3 V's, 6 W's, 1 X, like 8 Y's, and 3 Z's. So
okay, about 2 more weeks.
About 2 more weeks, and we'll be done with Mordenkainen's monsters.
Okay.
Who was your favorite tonight?
I think the Steel Predator.
Steel Predator's very cool.
I like the idea behind it and the different ways you could play that off.
Yeah. Steel Predator's very cool. For me, of course, you know it's going to be a Star Spawn.
Yeah.
It's specifically the Larva Mage. I find that so cool. Just the idea of like, hey, yeah, you know, I'm a normal mage that's come to help the King's Court.
Yeah.
Actually, under my mask and robe, I'm just a bunch of worms.
Yeah. The Star Spawn were good. Yeah. For sure.
I kind of liked the Stone Curse and the Stone Giants as well. Yeah. The Swashbuckler's all right. We need that. I'm glad it's there.
Yes.
The Sorrowsworn are kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I think that the real standouts for me are that Stone Giant Quintessence or Storm Giant Quintessence.
Yeah.
The Star Spawn and the Sword Wraiths and the Steel Predator.
Yeah, I hope they expand out a little bit more on the Giants.
Yeah.
Because we've actually got there's history on the Giants.
Right.
About their laws, about their setup and stuff, but we don't have a lot of reflection in that in the different types of giants.
Right.
So I think that's a cool thing.
I think so too.
I'll go a little further with that.
Give you a teaser for next week. We're going to start off talking about Tanarooks.
Okay.
Which, fun little tidbit here, a Tanarook is the first monster that I ever had kill a character.
Oh, okay.
Like that I was playing that character. I died. My first D&D character that died to a Tanarook.
Okay, so it'll be a good start next week.
Yeah.
Then
I have a long history with Tanarooks.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it.
And they have done just a quick little. They have done a great job bringing it to 5e.
Okay.
The Tanarook is really good in 5e now.
Okay.
So. But until next time, then tomorrow we're going to be painting Thousand Suns.
Okay.
Monday we'll be back with Immo Monday. We also might be painting something special in the middle of that. Just keep that in mind. Monday we'll be back with Immo Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to keep trying to go through the Radagast quest line that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And then...
in our fight against the whites.
That's right. That's right. Please, if you do not... I know this is like the third time we've referenced it. You have to go back and watch that episode so that you understand that joke. Yeah, you know, and then next Tuesday we'll be following up with more fun news that comes out. So.
Yeah, we've got some news already.
Yeah.
For Tuesday.
I'm excited. And also, like, you know, RIP Stadia.
Really?
We'll all miss you.
Yeah.
So, remember your sunglasses. That's right. But do you wear them at night?
Yeah.
With all that said, I have been Trey.
I've been Rungren.
We've been the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum. The D&D.